We know who we are, we're a big bright spot.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Voices. Today is a very special episode. Clearly, we're in a completely new set, and I'm actually here with all my girls, and we're talking about body image and the pressures of social media and all those things on our everyday insecurities. And so this episode was really important to me to do because image is something that I think as women we all struggle with, especially after becoming a mom. It's been a real battle, and even in this setting of creating this show and seeing myself from a million different angles on camera, it's really been a struggle for me mentally. And so I invited all my girls here because I really wanted this to be more personable and as comfortable as possible for you guys. In a way, today we are bearing our scars by, just kind of stripping down in a sense. And shout out to YouTuber Shan Booty, who I stole this idea from. And in her video, they were a lot more like, out there in war panties and bras. We're not doing that. We just wanted to kind of be in a space of vulnerability and making that normal. This season, I talk a lot about humanizing ourselves and being comfortable with those insecurities, and this is what this episode is about. So if you girls want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, sure. I'm Tammy, and I was born in Morris, Minnesota, but I grew up and was raised in Alexandria and the surrounding areas. We moved a lot. I have two beautiful girls, Kyla and Haley, and I've been a stay-at-home mom and a nanny for about 5 years, and I'm looking at caregiving for my mother and finishing up a few credits I have of my bachelor's in health science. So, yeah.
I'm Leanna Weber, and I have lived in Alexandria for 10 years next month. I actually grew up in a very tiny town on the Wisconsin-Michigan border called Ironwood, and my husband and I have not one, not two, but four very determined, brave, beautiful little girls, and they keep us pretty busy.
I'm Whitney Gazelle. I've been born and raised here in Alexandria. I'm engaged to my best friend Isaac, and we have a 2.5-year-old son, Jackson, and then I'm actually currently pregnant, 11 weeks, with my second child, and I work as a CNA at Bethany.
Congratulations. So thank you guys for doing this. I know this is really, really hard to do. I even had an anxiety attack this morning before doing the show because it's such a vulnerable position to be in. But I want to show women out there that it's okay to sit in those insecurities and love those insecurities, and I'm still learning to love myself. So how are you guys feeling in this moment right now?
It's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Very nervous,
yeah.
Very clammy.
That too. I'm like sweating. My relationship with my body what has been a rocky journey, but it started, I think I first became super conscious of my body when I was about 5 years old. And growing up in a Haitian community and with Haitian parents, our culture unfortunately tends to be very image driven. What you look like on the outside tends to, dictate how you're treated by people and how you're seen. And my mother is light-skinned and my father is really dark-skinned. And of me and my three sisters, I'm like the darkest one, the youngest. And so we kind of look like the makeup counter with the shades. And I remember when I was about 5, my mom had some friends over, and we were new to Florida, and so she was just introducing us in our new house, and I remember her friend was like, "Oh wow, she's so dark-skinned, but she'd be so beautiful, so much more beautiful if she was lighter." And I remember my mom was like, "Oh, she takes after her father," and pretty much from then on, that became like a natural thing for her to do. Whenever we were in the presence of anyone new, she said it before anyone had anything to say. So she'd just be like, this is my daughter, and she'd be like, she takes after her father, and I could tell that it was an insecurity for her. So it really took me a long time to love myself and to find myself as beautiful, or even look in the mirror and think of myself that way. When did that all start with you guys?
I remember, and I think I was probably like, well, I grew up and I was always like super skinny. I remember having like 0 size, pants and stuff like that. And then you hit like middle school and like definitely high school, where people are so like almost judgmental, I'd say, and I started getting like older, and so my pants sizes went up, and I just remember like having a hard time with that. I remember talking to my mom about that, which I mean to now seems silly, but and like watching like my legs get bigger and stuff like that. It was for some reason really hard because I guess grew up being small. So I actually remember in like high school, sometimes me and a friend would like skip out on lunch, and go to the vending machine and, like get a little snack. And that's what I would eat for lunch. And then when I hit basketball, I started like weightlifting and working out. And you obviously get bigger when you do that. And I remember just that being, a hard adjustment for me. But
what about you guys?
I think that I've always been like, it's always been a struggle with my mind, like, and not my body. Like, I'm a bully to my body, like,
my biggest critic.
Yeah. So I just like, ever since I was young, I mean, I guess I've always picked myself apart. It didn't really matter if it was my chubby toes or my fat ankles or my gut that I didn't really have then, that I have more of now. Or like my face, because like I've always struggled with acne, so I always feel like people are looking at the bump on my face or the redness or something like that, when they're probably really not. But all I can see is my flaws, and I feel like that's all other people see too. So I'm just really trying to gain like that confidence that the internet tries to tell you, like, just be confident. And people will tell you like, oh, you look so pretty, and you just want to be like, ew, no. Ew. No, I don't. But I mean, confident to me is just like not giving a damn and just being yourself, and just trying to be, not caring if other people accept you, but finding the acceptance in yourself. And so I'm really trying to remember that.
Yeah. I guess for me, it's always been, I was always different. I grew up in a very white community in northern Michigan, and my mom had blonde hair and blue eyes, and my siblings all did, and I felt like I was this giant mistake. And people would stare, and I remember being in the stores and people would be like, are you adopted? And it was always this, are you adopted? Why are you so much different than everyone else? And I guess I always felt out of place and awkward. And those insecurities kind of came with me as an adult. And it's just now finally where I feel like it's okay to accept myself for the person that I am. I'm never going to have blue eyes, and I look really bad with blonde hair.
I think it's, you guys make some really good points, because it's funny how even just with us, we were hanging out the other night and we're like, I think in all of our individual minds, we're like, well, what is she so insecure about? Like, and even when I was thinking about this, I was like, this is really like hard for me, because all I'm thinking about is like what role is hanging out, or, and most of us, most people don't think about that. They don't see the stretch mark or the redness or anything like that. And it's hard to make that work in your mind. I think right now social media plays such a big role in how we perceive ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. No one's real anymore. Everything is edited, and thank you, Kardashians. But that really, I think that this boom that we all grew up in, and we're all like heavily putting our lives on the internet and talking about ourselves and showing ourselves, and it took me a really long time to like be okay with that. And this year in particularly, doing this show and having to be more visible, I realized is such a hard thing for me now, even more so because I've been like I gained more insecurities as I get older, and at this point I'm probably like, if I could just wear a garbage bag and like cover it all up, I would. But I want people to be okay with themselves, and you ladies like inspire me so much because on social media you're always posting, you know, how confident you are, or at least what it took your journey to getting to that confidence. And you're all such role models for me because I'm learning to love myself again. And one of my biggest issues have been just learning to be okay with who I am and what other people see. So how has that battle been for you guys with social media and how that influences what you feel about yourself?
You know, like you were saying, now on social media, like everything, people always post like the good, you know, like they never, the good, yeah, there's nothing ever wrong with anybody's lives when they post on social media. And then, you know, like you were saying too, everything's kind of like behind a filter. So you see everybody's lives perfectly, and then with the filters, then you're like, wow, you know.
It really, like, it really is hard to just not take that and be like, oh, well, everybody's living a great life. Everyone's traveling, everyone's successful, and I'm over here, and you're constantly on this comparative like thing where it means so much to us, and I hate to admit it, but I do care about what people think, and I feel like when I was a teenager, I'd always be like, I don't care what other people think. Of course, I was a 00 at the time, so you could have that confidence, and then 2 babies later, I'm like, oh no, I care, I very much do, and then there's times when I'm just like, you know, my body's done some amazing things. We're all moms. We've all gone through struggles. Before I had my kids, before I had my son and my daughter, I had 4 miscarriages. And between the age of 20 and 25, I wasn't even sure if that was a possibility for me. And I remember with my last miscarriage before I had my son, I had gotten to about 5 months before I miscarried. And I was in that awkward stage of like, you don't know if she's pregnant, or then she just looks like, right? Like she just looks fat, you know? So what was crazy was that by then I'd been so paranoid about actually being open and talking about my pregnancies that I didn't tell anyone, so no one knew. And so I remember going through this process with my friends who were always like, oh, well, you look a little different, and you know, and I was so like self-conscious about what I looked like because I knew there was no baby anymore to like be like, oh, well, this is why I'm getting bigger, you know, and that really killed me. That killed my confidence in so many ways because I of course felt inadequate as a woman because that's what we're supposed to be able to do, and we're supposed to be able to provide children. And that, I think that year for me was like a huge turn in how I viewed myself. I became extremely self-deprecating, and that's become like a habit that I'm trying to like stop, because I'm sure you guys hear it all the time. But I feel like in my head, I think I have to I feel like I have to make some sort of move towards saying that out loud before someone else does. So do you guys struggle with those same things, and what are your biggest insecurities?
Yeah, I mean, on social media too, like after having a kid or 2 kids, it was like you're always seeing things that are like, how far have you come after your post baby, how much did you lose and how fast did you lose it? And it just gives you like this, you have to compare yourself to these other moms and how fast it happened and what you look like, and it just puts so much pressure on it. And I just remember feeling like so overwhelmed, like thinking that I needed to take like a post-baby selfie after a couple weeks of what I looked
Kate
like.
Middleton made it so easy.
Yeah.
She's out there in an hour.
So it's just like seeing stuff like that, and then you see like, oh, here's some post baby workouts and diets and this and that, and it's just like there's so many things that you see, and you just don't even take time to enjoy some of the things that really matter because you're so focused on these other things that are really weighing heavily on your mind and your body. And so I don't know, I just try to remember like there's nothing wrong with my body after I had the baby. It changed my body, but I'm still worthy.
What do you think, Leanna?
I've always had this mindset that other people's bodies aren't my business, and my body isn't your business. I'm not going to go home tonight and be like, oh my gosh, they were looking at my stretch marks, because I really don't care if you do. I have stretch marks. I have 4 children. It happens. But I guess for me, it's like I see a lot of ads, and I know if you've ever heard of Splendies, like they send you underwear every month, and they post a lot of women as they are, cellulite, no cellulite, stretch marks, and I do this terrible thing where I will go and read the comments, and I think that's one of the worst things that I do, because there's a lot of people that they're like, she's so brave, she's so wonderful, thank you for this company for showing women as they are. And then you come across these people, and they're like, that's disgusting, she's gross. And I'm like, that makes me feel like, should I not ever go outside? Right. So I guess that makes me like, just, you can hide everything with a filter, or you can be anyone you want to on the internet, and no one really knows what's going on behind closed doors, because we all live perfect lives online.
What do you think, Whit?
It's just like amazing. I know, like, I struggle a lot, like getting in my head and being completely like lost in my head. Like Tammy was saying, you just see, you see people, and then you read comments, and I don't know. I guess I've just always struggled. I don't even know where I was going.
Just probably empowering yourself, right? Like just getting.
What do you guys do though to actually empower yourself? What is it that you actually, what's your process to actually feeling confident or beautiful?
I was thinking about this earlier actually, and I was talking to my husband, and I was like, this thing came into my mind where we were going on vacation, and right before we left town, I bought a swimsuit. It was a 2-piece. I didn't try it on. We got to the hotel, and I called him over, and I was like, I can't go swimming with you and our 4 children. Like, I look so gross in this, what I'm wearing. And my girls hadn't even heard me, my 2 oldest ones, and they came over and they're like, is that your new swimsuit, Mom? You look really beautiful. And I was like, now I can't take it off. Right. Like, I'm so insecure, and I just have to work through it because they're watching me. They know that if I take it off, that they're going to question next time they wear something, should I not wear this because I'm not enough? And I guess for me, it's, I don't ever want them to think that they're not good enough for anybody.
So you kind of
force myself to be okay with it.
Yep, I'm trying to be more conscious of that too. I have a daughter, she's 3, but I don't want her to, like, I have this habit where I'm always apologizing in general. It's just like,
it's a Minnesota thing.
Right, and I mean, no, I'm not Minnesotan, but I think that's just naturally who I am, but I'm always apologizing for simply existing. And I realize that she's now starting to do it. And so like when she cries, she's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Like when she's upset about something, and I'm like, it's okay. And I realize like even when I don't feel like my best self or like the most successful or the most, confident, I try so hard to just do it anyways. I've been doing a lot of things that scare me this year, and it's done wonders, for my anxiety, but it's actually been so hard to not judge myself outwardly and out loud, because I don't want her to ever think that like there's something wrong with you, and I'm sure that my mother never thought about those things too, or ever thought like she was hindering me in any way. But as a 32-year-old woman, I'm still thinking about those moments, and all I can think about is like, I want my daughter to love her blackness. I want her to love her dark skin. I want her to be proud of it, because I'm probably just getting to that point. I'm in my 30s. I actually just made pact with myself to actually start wearing bright colors, and that's insane because my mom was always like, "Oh, you're dark skinned. You don't want to like draw attention to yourself." So my entire wardrobe was, like my black clothing, and so I've been trying to be more open about just trying new things and putting myself in those positions. As women, we go through this all the time, and I think that it's really important to show how empowering it can be to like love those things, those flaws, and feel beautiful in the way you are. So what would you say to the woman out there who just had the baby, who's looking at her stretch marks and trying to understand what happened?
I would say that we all struggle. It's real. I don't think there's one person out there that doesn't struggle, no matter how beautiful or perfect you think that they are. There's something about themselves that they're picking apart as well. And then I would also say, like, if you're trying hard to love your body, it's hard, and I'm proud of you.
I like that.
Like, just definitely like, well, when you say about a baby, I mean, it's like, look at what you created, and like what a human body can do. Because I remember that when I looked at Jackson, it's like, holy Toledo's, like I, made that, like he grows in your...
create a whole human life, yeah.
Grows in your belly, and so, I mean, it's just like, you should be super proud that, you can do that. And, things will, I don't know, get better. And I don't know. I think that's huge, just what you can do as a woman. And like, yeah.
What would your advice be?
Your body is your body for the rest of your life. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to love my body because it's the relationship that I will have for the rest of my life, no matter what. Yeah. And I'm not going to spend the rest of my life being sad and hating myself over things that my stretch marks are never going to go away. I have 4 beautiful children. I guess it is what it is.
It is what it is, and our bodies change, and we do amazing things with our bodies. We create life, and I think we need to put those positive images out there more. So we're definitely going to go through a little bit of a photo shoot after this, just because I want us to show that. I think just this year I've spent so much time picking apart every little thing that it took me a really long time to love myself, and I'm not going back, anytime soon. I just think that it's such a wonderful thing to be able to do this and to be able to talk about these things and do this at home. Get your girlfriends together and have these conversations, because the things that you think that you're insecure about, someone else is thinking like, I didn't even notice that. That's so beautiful, and we're great we're great the way we are, and we do amazing things with our bodies, and we need to love that and highlight that more often. So thank you guys for being here and doing this. I know it was extremely vulnerable and hard to do, to even sit here and like have these conversations, but I want to show women that it's okay. It's okay to do that, and it's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching this episode of Voices. This episode was so important to me because I really wanted to be in a place where I'm just comfortable and showing you guys out there that it's okay to have these insecurities and to not love your body some days, but if you win the fight most of the days, that's good. So I really want to thank you guys for watching and tuning in every week or every other week. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. I really am excited about all the things we have coming, and December 13th we're having a wrap party at Deja Blue. So for all of our sponsors and partners out there, definitely take the time to come out that night, and we're gonna binge watch all the episodes. And I'm excited that we're actually having the opportunity to develop more. So thank you so much for watching the show. Thanks.
You know it's real.